On today's show, Wookiee putting up. We also have Jason Statham fighting sharks, and the Terminator says, I need your clothes, your boots, and some more time to make my movie. Movie Talk starts right now. See everybody. Welcome. Jon Schnepp, Kristian Harloff, that's them over there. I am merely Mark Ellis. Whether you are watching us with your eyeballs, you're listening to us with your eardrums on our new podcast feed, thank you. Whatever body part you use to enjoy Movie Talk, we appreciate it. Rate and subscribe to our podcast if you haven't already done it, to the Movie Talk feed and all of the great podcasts offered here at Collider. Our first story today, little trailer drop. Some people were watching The Masters like me. Other people were watching WrestleMania. Everybody wanted to know, hey, what's this new Solo trailer all about? And I'll tell you, kids, it's all about nostalgia. So many member berries are in this trailer, and that's the way you're supposed to sell this movie if you're the Lucasfilm marketing department. Now, look, I've never been to Skywalker Ranch. I haven't been invited yet. Probably never will be. I would like to go pay homage to the Yoda statue. I want to make the pilgrimage at some point. I don't know what goes on to the higher offices of Lucasfilm, but I do know the marketing department clearly listened to the fans when they saw the divisiveness after The Last Jedi and said, okay, The Last Jedi tried to do some new, bold things. They tried to massage canon and change the mythology and take off in this new direction. For this Solo movie, we've had enough issues backstage. Let's just put up Chewie and Lando and the Millennium Falcon and hyperspace, and we'll have some Empire shots in there, and we'll show Han, and we'll show the TIE fighters, and we'll hear sound effects that everybody loves. That's how you're supposed to sell this movie, is on the heels of nostalgia, and the trailer did so. My only gripe, if you want to call it that, with the new trailer is that it feels less like a movie to me, and it feels more like a TV show. If Star Wars is a TV show, this is how I want it to look. Jon Schnepp, you saw this trailer last night a couple times. You watched it on your phone, and then you got home and you watched it again after you saw A Quiet Place, which we'll also get into later. What do you think of this trailer?
For myself, it got me really excited about seeing the Solo film. I mean, I think the first teaser that we saw, I thought it was okay, and it was like, okay, they shot a Han Solo movie, and I didn't really get that too into it. I didn't feel too invested in it. And then upon watching this on my tiny phone, right when I got out of the theater, I was like, oh, a Solo trailer dropped. What's this? I watched it, and I really enjoyed it. Talking about like, a TV show kind of feel to it. To me, it's a smaller film. It's not like we have to take out the Death Star because it's life and death, the Empire and the Rebels. This is like Han Solo becoming Han Solo. I mean, I feel like you could have called it Becoming Solo if you wanted to, but that's a corny title. But yeah, I mean, like seeing all of these characters, the introduction of Lando, how he meets up with Chewbacca, those are the kind of things that as a kid I used to think about all the time. Like, and of course they went into that in backstories with the books and the comic books, but we've never seen it cinematically. So to see it being told this way looks really, really cool to me. So for myself, this trailer actually sold me on 100% wanting to see Solo.
So I think the nostalgia angle is a smart play. Kristian, do you buy into the fact that Lucasfilm clearly wanted to sell this movie based on nostalgia? And do you have a fear with that this could end up being like the prequels, which leaned a little too heavily on nostalgia, and we end up getting some backstories that we necessarily didn't need?
No, I don't feel that way actually at all. And I don't think that they were listening to the fans, because I think this movie was already being shot. What I think that they did, because they didn't know what was going to happen.
But you know how to cut down a 2-hour movie into a 2-minute trailer and sell the best parts of the movie to the fans.
Well, sure, but I think that what they did was ultimately what we got with these reshoots was that they knew that Lawrence Kasdan wrote the rumors like that we're hearing that's one of the best scripts, and they said, stop improvising and let's shoot this thing. Ron Howard, can you shoot this thing? And he did, and that's what this trailer looks like. It looks like a fun Star Wars adventure. And there are things like, it reminds me more, first of all, as far as the comparison with the TV thing goes, I'm okay with that because I think TV nowadays tells better stories than movies do. But for me, I also look at it being more of like a book. Because when we were growing up, the only other ways besides the movies that we'd get these stories are books. And this is, to me, very similar to, like, say, what Logan did with that kind of standalone comic. It seemed like a standalone comic that you would get, like, an issue that we couldn't even fathom could happen. And this is what we're getting with this trailer. It looks, you're going to see, there's shots of Kashyyyk that it looks like in this particular, trailer. There's the relationship that Chewie's having. We're going to learn more about Chewie. I think this is going to turn out to be Chewie's movie. I really think it is, because I think that when you look at And I'm over even trying to compare this kid to Harrison Ford. It's not going to happen whatsoever. You've got to be able, when you're sitting down in the theater, you've got to say to yourself, you feel like it's Han Solo, and even if you don't, you got to just kick back and go with it, because there are a lot of things in here I don't think that he feels like Han Solo to me at all, but I'm over it. I'm into the movie. I'm into feeling the adventure of it. I'm into seeing what Lando and what Chewie and all that stuff, and just tell me the story. Like sometimes when you get a book and you get a particular guy who's reading it and he doesn't do the best impression of, like, say, the Emperor or even Han Solo, you get over it because you know the character's there and the character was written.
Yeah, I mean, we got new characters in this trailer for sure, but we didn't see a lot of them. We didn't see a lot of Emilia Clarke. We heard some from Woody Harrelson.
Right.
I think he's going to end up being somebody who, it's a lot like Walter Donovan in Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade when he warns Indy, hey, don't trust anyone. And the reason why he says that is because you shouldn't even be trusting Walter Donovan. I wonder if there's going to be some sort of double cross with Woody Harrelson's character later on in the movie. But this movie is showing you, hey, we want you to come to the movie because we want to show you more about Chewie and more about Lando, these characters that you already love. Remember The Force Awakens? One of the strongest selling points of that movie and the trailers was the first teaser you got was the Millennium Falcon. That was the first recognizable character we saw for The Force Awakens. And then the second one, we saw some nice shots, and then it's Han and Chewie. Chewie, we're home. That's clearly what Lucasfilm wants to use to sell this movie too. So my only fear with leaning on all this nostalgia for this movie, which I definitely think they had meetings about, saying, hey, we need to market this differently than we did The Last Jedi, because whatever you think about The Last Jedi, they do not want to associate that movie with what this movie is going to be bringing to the table. I do have a small fear that you're showing us too much of the backstory to these characters that we know and love. I didn't need to see how C-3PO was created by Anakin Skywalker. Does that fear resonate with you at all after seeing this trailer, Schnepp?
No, not at all. I mean, I feel like as long as Woody Harrelson doesn't turn into Carnage at the end, I'm okay with Woody Harrelson, whatever role he's playing. And I don't mind seeing if that is truly the first time that Han meets Lando. I'm totally cool with them showing that cinematically, and whether it's different from the lore that we've, I don't know if you ever read those Han Solo Smugglers, and they had the trilogy.
Smuggler's Tale,
yeah, so it's like Han's had a ton of stories told about him after the Empire, after, like, in between these movies, and then obviously what happens to him in The Force Awakens. So, I mean, for myself, like, the Chewbacca thing to me was like, we talked about, is that Mala or like Mala Tobak or whatever her name is from? I mean, are they going to make the Star Wars holiday Christmas special canon?
They already did.
Really?
I believe that.
Come on!
I don't know if Lumpy particular.
Lumpy?
The name, but his kid is canon in one of the
Really?
novels. Already.
His dad who puts on the virtual reality and just gets to a really weird place.
Life Day is real.
Right. To answer your question, I'm not worried about that at all because, and this is not a slight, this is just a fact, Lawrence Kasdan is a much better screenwriter than George Lucas. And when he wrote that, it was I didn't mind seeing the origin of C-3PO. I just didn't want to see it like that. The way that it was kind of like, oh yeah, Anakin built you. Why? Because it's cute.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's like, I actually thought it was cool seeing the skeleton of the Death Star, as it's being created, but it just has to be done in more of an organic way, which is why I'm very excited to see Han and Lando play that game of Sabak, and maybe Han wins, and then he goes and he sees this piece of crap that he just won in this game, and that's what's going to break the Parsec record or whatever.
Right.
So I have so much excitement for this movie anyway, but it's a movie that I didn't know I needed, and I still don't know that I need, but after seeing this trailer, I want to see it even more. Did this trailer move you in that direction as well?
Yes, I was starting to get there anyway, but not from the trailers that I saw, because I was with Schnepp. I didn't really like the first two, and I think that it was just a matter of, well, what are we really getting to here? And this showed me what we're getting to. Shows me, and what I was hoping as the movie was getting, and Jedi Council, we talked about it last week, I'm looking more and more forward to this because I just want it to be a fun adventure film in the Star Wars galaxy, and that's exactly what it looks like. And
I was going to say, it feels like a space western.
It does.
And
Literally from the opening shot.
That opening shot,
and the
I'm
music.
like, and that's like exactly what Kasdan went about wanting to write originally. When I heard about all this stuff, it's a space western. That's what it feels like.
And Han Solo's always been that renegade. What I like about the line with that Harrelson says to him, he's just like, once you join this life it's yours forever, and it ultimately does, because that's what Bob Iger said a while ago that people got nuts about. He said, we're going to find out how Solo got his name. People are like, oh, wait, his name's not Han Solo? And that's how he's talking.
His name's like Han Johnson. Like, what?
He's how he earned the name, how he earned the reputation.
Respect of, we'll get Solo. That's how you're
doing. Iger's a marketing genius. He could have been clear with that statement. I mean, I get what he was saying, but we all thought, is it Han Williams? What's his real last name?
Which I would have been okay with. It's not Scissor Punch.
Han Scissor Punch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you
Scissor
know?
Punch.
There's a
I
character.
have no idea what that means.
There's a character that in the movie called
on.
Scissor Punch. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, I saw that.
Therm Scissor Punch.
Therm Scissor Punch. That's right. He's in Empire Strikes Back too, right?
Is
Isn't
he really?
Yeah, I think it's the background of one of the original trilogy movies.
Therm
But,
Scissor Punch?
Either way, kids, do not attempt a scissor punch at home. What you can attempt along with us if you want
Try it in
to
college.
is you click on that I button that you see in the corner of our YouTube vid, and you can participate in our poll today, which is about Solo, a Star Wars story. Which character are you most excited to see? Is it Han? Is it Lando? Is it Chewbacca? Or is it a new character? I am going to go with Chewbacca after seeing this. Going into this trailer, I would have said Lando. And then going out of this trailer, I'm like, I just got to see more and more Chewie. That's what I want in my life. As far as our poll goes, which way y'all leaning?
Chewbacca, absolutely, because like I said, this is going to be. We're going to learn more about Chewbacca than I think we learned about Han. I think there's so much there of why they become friends. The fact that he learns that he can fly. I love that idea. I love that. Since when do you know how to fly? It's great.
Yeah.
Like, because how did we've never really asked that question, have we?
Chewbacca's been underestimated this entire time.
Yes.
Finally, he's going to get his worth back. I
think he's gonna have
not
a
just
lot
like
more.
family with a bunch of schlumpy creatures on Life Day. He's
Yeah.
a hero.
So you're going Chewie as
no,
well?
I'm not. I'm going Lando.
Ah,
I just
okay.
watched all of Atlanta season 1 this weekend, and it is so incredible. I am a brand new I already like Donald Glover. Now I'm a super fan of Donald Glover because the guy's a genius. So just those parts of seeing him in Solo now after having seen Atlanta, I appreciate him in a different way. So I'm like, I want to see what he brings to the table.
All right, be careful if you're voting for Lando, because Lando doesn't rip people's arms out of their sockets when he loses a poll. Well, that's not the only movie you're going to be giving money to Disney this summer. We also have Avengers Infinity War coming out in a matter of weeks, kids. In a matter of weeks, we get Avengers Infinity War. The movie comes out April 27th, and we have a new TV spot to talk about. It's pretty much the same as the old boss. We got a couple new shots. Nothing that I really needed to see, but I will say this, is that we see a very cinematic presentation when we see these full trailers that you either see before a movie when you go to a theater or you just watch it on YouTube. This is a lot more of a digestible TV spot, and I like that because this is selling the movie to a slightly different demographic than what you had before. People are going to seek out the Avengers material online. This is just for somebody who's watching a show and all of a sudden it comes on and they're reminded, oh yeah, that movie's coming out. When is that? Look at all these superheroes teaming up. In less than a minute, this shows you virtually every character that you're going to see, which is a lot of them, in Avengers Infinity War. So I think this did its job in spades. Kristian, do we need to see any more marketing material, or is this movie already going above and beyond the $200 million mark for you?
I mean, for my own taste, I don't need to see anything else too. But I think on a marketing machine, I understand you're going to push it right until it comes out. Plus the fact, remember, they moved it up a week, and maybe not everybody still is aware of that. And I think that you'll hit these spots. I just don't want them to show any more footage. I don't think I needed to see Winter Soldier and Captain America reuniting in that spot. I didn't need to see that because I know it's either going to happen or I want to see if it's going to happen, and now I know it happens. So those types of story points, it's already tracked. That's the thing that always gets me. When you get the tracking and then you start putting out spots like this, it's tracking at over $200 million already to do opening weekend. It's probably going to do $250 on opening weekend. And pull back. You can put whatever you want. Take stuff out of the trailers you already shown and throw in stuff already. Make it. People are going to see this movie. You don't need to put anything else in there. So the one point, yes, stop showing too much. But the other point, I understand why I have to keep marking.
Is this the first spot your mother-in-law is going to see for Avengers Infinity War, and what's she going to think?
Well, she first, before she does that, last night she discovered, what's that you're drinking? LaCroix is what I said.
Oh, she discovered
yeah, and she's
Canadian.
Like, I've never heard
Right?
of
Or
it.
French.
Is it good? What flavor are you
Croix.
drinking? And I said, it's good, the good flavor, Pat.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, Pat knows what LaCroix is, and maybe
I was thinking
Avengers
of
Infinity
Labatt's.
War.
That's what I was
LaCroix.
thinking of. Labatt's beer.
Labatt Blue?
Yeah.
That's good stuff from Canada.
That's my first beer I ever had.
Good for you.
All right.
Found it in my fridge, and I was like, oh, my dad's drinking this.
Well, that's fantastic. Any thoughts on Avengers Infinity War?
Speaking of beer, kids, Avengers Infinity
3.
War, blue all the way. Yeah, you know what? I like this trailer. I like the chanting. That's the thing for me, at least, that they kind of incorporated where you're like, oh, there's like kind of a battle chant, a Wakandan battle chant that kind of goes throughout the rest of, like, so I guess it starts halfway through this new trailer and like kind of continues all the way through. That kind of creates that momentum. I mean, I'm with you. I didn't need to see Cap meet up with Bucky, but in the same sentence, it's like, look, all the people who are like, I don't know if I'm going to see it unless those guys meet up. Now the ticket is sold.
Well,
you know,
yeah,
they're just
but
like,
the thing that they're selling this movie on, also that they didn't even realize that they were going to be able to sell it on, was we knew that Black Panther would do well. We didn't
Right.
know that it would be the most profitable superhero movie of all time.
Right.
And now that it is, and now it's pretty heavy inside of these trailers, that's another reason why it's like, oh, you know that great movie that you just saw in February? Well,
Right.
you're going to see a little bit more of that now. So that portion of it pushed Black Panther more. The same way that DC with Justice League pushed Wonder Woman a lot more this second round. You push with Black Panther because I mean it is the champion of all superhero movies of all time, even than the Avengers.
Right. How prescient for them to like, maybe we should set it in Wakanda. You know what I mean? It's like it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I mean the continuity is there anyway with that movie being released a mere matter of months before Infinity War, and then leaning heavily on Black Panther for this. Black Panther, speaking of, still number 5 or in the top 5 of the box office, coming in number 4 this weekend with $8 million, adding to its total of $665 million. But that was not the story this weekend of the box office. The story was A Quiet Place, $50 million, something you can shout from the rooftops on a budget of just $17 million. So definitely making a profit for John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, and company. Coming in number 2 was Ready Player One with a fairly strong hold, only a 40% drop here in the United States for its second week, raking in a little over $25 million. At number 3 was Blockers, $21 million on a budget of $21 million. Like we said, number 4, Black Panther, and number 5, I Can Only Imagine. Of note as well, coming in at number 6 was Tyler Perry's Acrimony. Number 7 was the new release Chappaquiddick, which I didn't know anybody knew that movie was coming out. I saw it. I thought it was a pretty good drama and an interesting spin on what went down with Ted Kennedy and Mary Jo at Chappaquiddick. Movie made $6 million, so good for it. As far as the big story this weekend with A Quiet Place, I am going to compare that, and I'm going to lump that in with Blockers, because combined, these movies cost $38 million to make. That's their combined budget, and they raked in the cash this weekend. What does that tell you about the audiences that are going to see movies right now, Schnepp?
Tells me that people want to go have a good time or they want to get scared. It's one of the two things, and getting scared is also having a good time. I saw A Quiet Place last night on a Sunday evening with a sold-out crowd, and everybody had a great time. Everyone was quiet. Literally, when you see this movie, you're gonna hear people eating their nachos like 10 feet away. Like,
Stop crunching, they'll hear you.
Stop opening it, people. Yeah, it's like literally there's a lot of quiet moments, and it's super tense. Absolutely love this film. I mean, hats off to Krasinski and everybody involved with this film. It's amazing, and it deserves to be number 1. And I was going to try to see Blockers. We're going to do a double feature, but after seeing Quiet Place, we're like, let's just go have dinner. You know, it's like nice to get. I was still daylight out. I was like, let's go outside.
And you want to talk about that movie?
Yes.
And I was so thrilled to see so many people online write me and say that the audiences behave themselves, because that's what I always worry about with an opening weekend. It's a horror movie. People love getting scared. Can you shut up? Can you shut up and just let everybody enjoy this very quiet movie-going experience that's also going to be very tense? It's actually fun when you get to release it the few moments you do in that movie, or if you hear somebody next to you munching on popcorn. Just there's quiet ways to eat popcorn and there's loud ways to eat popcorn. Know the difference. Kristian, people really behave themselves at the movies this weekend.
Yeah, they did. And well, looking at the first 3, that's a good weekend for the movies in general.
Sure.
All 3 movies, the first one doing 50 and the rest in the mid-20 area. I still wish that Blockers would make a little bit more, because I think it's one of the funnier movies I've seen in a bit. But I also understand that the buzz and the word of mouth of Quiet Place was so strong that I think I've heard a lot of people who are like, well, yeah, I was going to see, I think you even said it, I was going to see Blockers this week, but I want to see Quiet Place first, which I understand, because to answer your question to Schnepp, I think the answer is you make a good movie and people talk about it, then other people will go and see it. If it has a wide enough release. It's not always the case when the movie is a smaller release and people can't find it. But if it's out and wide release and people like it, you can. Their studios have to want to take the risk. And the problem is a lot of times they make either crappy or mid-level movies, and then they go, well, no one wanted to see it. If you make a movie like this, and that's not always the case. Sometimes you'll make a really good movie and no one saw it and it's disappointing. You're like, well, nobody wanted to see that type of movie. This just had everything. The Quiet Place had everything working in its favor. It had good marketing. It had a good premise. It had great actors. It had a great, not first-time director, but it was really his coming out party as a director in John Krasinski. And everything just worked. It was one of those things that all worked together. and Ready Player One doing well. This was a great weekend for the movies.
They're all
Same thing with
different,
Kay Cannon,
Yeah.
too. First-time director for her with Blockers. So between her rookie performance with Blockers and John Krasinski still a newbie, Steven Spielberg, I hear, has made movies before with Ready Player One. I look at this more, though. I mean, you look at something like Christian loves The Nice Guys, right? And he wanted that to do better at the box office. The Nice Guys, I think, is a harder movie to sell to audiences as to why you need to see this in the theater, because The Nice Guys is a comedy, and it's a very
Rated
good
R, too.
comedy, but it's not a laugh-out-loud, gut-busting comedy. If you go to the theater, you want one of two experiences primarily. You want to be scared out of your mind, or you want to be laughing out loud. Blockers can do the latter, and A Quiet Place can do the former. It might be the best double feature in recent memory, because you can get really scared and tense.
Right.
Then you can just let all that emotion out with Blockers.
I absolutely agree, because I think that when you look at something like Nice Guys, right? It's an acquired taste. Also, it's a specific genre. It might be too brutal for some people, because Shane Black really goes for it at times. Some people, and then it's the action adventure and that type of thing, that kind of quirkiness, not for everybody. I love that movie. Also, didn't think it had a great marketing push either. Also came out in a different. I think it came out September.
Right.
These movies had a lot more going for it. Plus, like you said, it's a little bit more universal. You want to get scared. And it's not. It's funny you said it's kidding around. I actually did talk to my mother-in-law last night about the two wide releases that were coming out, and she hadn't heard of either one. I was telling her Quiet Place is more of a thriller. I wouldn't even really call it a horror film. I mean, it's horror elements, but it's more of a sci-fi thriller, I think. And Blockers is a straight-out comedy. So, like you said, very different, so you can pick. But go see Blockers next week, or see Rampage, whatever.
That's right. Rampage coming out in a matter of... Rampage is coming out this weekend.
Yes.
And then next weekend, I mean, that's the thing about word of mouth, though, is that I think word of mouth travels so much faster these days than it used to, because in the old days, if you saw Blockers, you saw A Quiet Place, and you loved it, you rave about your friends, and then they're going to go see it the next weekend. But here, people are going to hear so fast, and if they hear a movie's good from the previews Thursday night, they're going to go see it on Saturday. So do you think that these movies are going to hold up, or do you think Rampage is going to come in here? Obviously, that's going to be the number one movie at the box office, but what happens to A Quiet Place and to Blockers when you have another huge blockbuster crowding the scene?
I don't know if it's going to be the number one. I mean, I think, word of mouth on A Quiet Place literally was why we saw it Sunday night, because we were going to see the double feature, and then things happened on Friday and Saturday. We got too busy, and then we were finally on Sunday. We're like, Holly was like, let's really go see A Quiet Place. So let's go do that, because everybody was talking about it. And it's like, yeah, I'm ready to see it too. So we didn't do the double feature, but yeah, Blockers is next on the list. I mean, I feel like you have those three movies with Ready Player One. That runs kind of the gamut. You have horror, you have comedy, and you have cool action sci-fi. I mean, Rampage is now, that's action, comedy, kind of it's a blend of all of that with giant monsters and stuff. You already still have Pacific Rim. I mean, I believe in Dwayne Johnson and his abilities, but I feel like next week is going to be so crowded with people who didn't see these movies that it's going to eat away at that. And it could possibly eat away at it being number one.
I think it could eat away. I don't think it's going to eat away at being number one, because I think that even at a 50% drop off, we'll have, which is great for A Quiet Place, that'll be at 25. I think Rampage will do better than 25.
Right.
I think Rampage will do closer to between 40, maybe 35, 40 opening weekend. And The Rock he's got that rare thing that used to happen 15, 20 years ago with movie stars. He can open a movie. Yeah. Baywatch aside. But this is something that I think I'm interested to see, because there's so many of these different movies out there, like Schnepp says. I think Ready Player One could shift down a little bit, but there's going to be a little bit of battle there. I think it would probably be Rampage number one, Quiet Place number two. I could see Blocker shifting over into 3, and then Ready Player One going to 4.
Yeah, I'm more intrigued to see what Rampage does internationally and how that competes with Ready Player One's haul, because Ready Player One is crushing it overseas. There's been reports that movie needs to make anywhere from $400 to $450 million just to break even. It's already almost at $400 million, and a lot of that is due to the overseas market, including China. The movie is just demolishing records over there. So Ready Player One, truly an international market. I think Rampage is going to be more of the same. Well, you can't talk about international markets if you don't mention the great Jason Statham and a huge 75-foot shark. A Carcharodon megalodon is the star of the new movie Meg, and a new image was released in Entertainment Weekly. Kristian, have you seen that image before? Look at it. Look at it close. That's not cereal. It's not cereal. It's actually a shark underneath a whole bunch of people that are in tubes. Roll the picture again. It's so good. It's just the most amazing thing. Get there, Kristian. Get there. I want you to focus.
I was waiting.
I want to put the shark on there.
I love Adam, but he missed the moment.
Missed the moment. There it is. There it was.
I love him.
You
He
just
missed
saw
the
it
moment.
again.
Where
Very
was it?
briefly.
I didn't see it. What
He
happened?
was setting me up for the Statham, and it just Adam didn't catch it. I love him. We'll have a talk.
Did you see the picture? Did you see
Yeah,
that?
I saw it.
What picture are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
Just,
It was
just
the
kidding, I
Statham,
saw it.
the Statham lifesaver.
It's a giant shark,
Yeah.
and it's 75 feet, and it's going to come wreak havoc on this town. So now Jason Statham has to come in, and he has to save a bunch of deep-sea divers who are kind of stuck because there's a 75-foot shark swimming up there. I love the premise of this movie. My fear with the Meg, and it opens August 10th if you guys want to go see it with me opening weekend. My fear with this movie is that it's going to be treated like...
It's cheesy.
Yeah, I hate cheesy shark movies that are trying to be B movies. I cannot stand even something like the
Sharknado?
the Sharknado movies or anything like that where they're trying to be fun. I want you to take this seriously, okay? Even if the
Now he's overshowing Statham.
even if the movie is going to end up being ridiculous, I want you to take yourself seriously. The Shallows took itself seriously. It ended up being a little ridiculous, but I want you to take it seriously.
He's wearing that hat, fighting the shark.
We're going deep into the library of Jason. Is that him from Crank?
No, Adam was bad.
What is he going to punch a shark?
This
This is like
Yeah.
the dumbest thing. I think the Meg or whatever it's called is so dumb. Is he going to punch it in the face? Why is Jason
I don't know how
Statham
he's
fighting
gonna-
a giant shark? It's stupid.
Because he's the
It's-
only
he's
one
not
on
a
Earth that can
scientist.
do
I'm sorry.
You don't know he's not a scientist?
Yeah, I know he's supposed to play a scientist in the movie. None of us are going to believe it. I'm sorry. None of us are going to believe that. Oh yeah, Jason Statham has been studying marine biology for like 20. No,
We believed it when Denise Richards did it.
Right.
Yeah,
None of
Dr.
us.
Christmas.
None of us believe that
Oh,
either. Yeah. So him fighting a giant shark is so stupid. If it was a normal sized shark, I still wouldn't want to see the movie. Now that I saw that picture with this
mate.
giant, it looks like a shark floating in cereal. That's what it does look like.
Which is
Fruity
a
Pebbles.
very terrifying prospect when you realize the cereal is actually human beings.
What if we find out it's a sequel to Spy?
I don't think it's going to be a sequel.
should
to
be a
Spy,
sequel to Spy.
But I want to see this movie badly because I love shark movies.
You love
and
sharks.
The Carcharodon Megalodon, that's an actual creature that at one point on Earth did exist. It existed back in the age of the dinosaurs. You did have animals in the ocean that were comparable to the size of what you're going to see in the Meg. So it's based in reality, kind of, based on a novel. I want to see this movie. Schnepp thinks it's going to be stupid. Kristian, break the tie.
I don't care.
Come on!
No, but I'm not. You guys are on two different sides. You're on this is really stupid. I don't want to see it. You're on
Look at that.
You're on please
Look
it's
at
a shark.
the size of that thing.
That
Fruity Pebbles.
and I, if same thing we were just talking about. If someone says, look, you got to see what's this stupid thing called Meg?
The Meg.
The Meg.
Like, right. So
up,
if Meg turns out to be a good shark movie and someone says, look, you got to see this thing. It's stupid fun and Statham actually gives it a nice kick in the teeth but it's funny and it works. Go see it. Fine, but these shark movies to me, I never really liked them. I'm sorry, I know I break your heart, but the last good shark movie was this one in 1975.
Right.
I don't like.
one.
I don't like a lot of. I end up like. I didn't think The Shallows was as good as everybody else did. So I could be disappointed. Maybe it's because I set myself up with such high
I
expectations.
didn't like that movie at all.
For a cool shark movie, but like, do you think that they can hit that tone that is in between being a farce and something as serious as Jaws?
You
Or
put
do you think
Statham in it though. It's not. It's one of these things.
he can
Statham-
act. You've seen him act though. You've seen him not
I'm
just be.
He can
a
act.
cheesy
But
action star.
what I'm saying though is like that. But that's not why you cast him. You're right. He can, and I still think The Bank Job is a very underrated movie to where you just think it's just one of these action
Yeah.
movies based off a true story, and he's really good in it. And he does. But you cast him for a specific reason. And if it's in August, in the beginning of August, we're still in the tail end of summer. This is going to be one of those piranha type movies that you're not going to like. I'm telling you, it's going to.
It is.
It's
That's
gonna-
a giant shark. I guarantee you in the trailer, some idiot says, that's a giant shark.
because they're going to play off. They're trying to play off the Fast and Furious thing. That is not an easy thing to catch, because Fast and Furious, what they did, and it is a very people don't give that movie enough credit, that franchise enough credit. In the fifth movie, they shifted it completely, and it went from being this Point Break ripoff in the beginning to a overall over the top, almost superhero action movie franchise that people responded to, but you can't do that a lot of the times. It doesn't work. This is probably going because he's in those movies. They're probably trying to spin that off and.
Ugh, it just stinks. The mega bomb is what they should call
Okay,
it.
before he was a world famous action star, Jason Statham was on the British diving team, so he knows how to
Dive?
handle himself in the water. He can dive in, and he swam with sharks to train to get ready for this movie. He swam with a bunch of bull sharks, and he said that the most nerve-wracking part of swimming with bull sharks is
getting eaten?
Is not getting eaten. It's when you're on the boat and you have the fear. So as soon as you jump in the water, you feel like you're just part of nature, and it's a beautiful experience. It's on the boat. It's us building ourselves up because we've seen Jaws so many
Did he
times.
mention the crew around him that had harpoon guns ready to take them out?
You know the crew had around them? Giant tuna that they were feeding the bull
They were all
sharks.
eating Fruity Pebbles. I'm pretending I'm watching Meg.
Be
Press that
careful,
Fruit
kids.
Pebbles,
Well,
oh
the
my-
Meg comes out this August in 2018. If you want to see the new Terminator reboot that's being directed by Tim Miller and produced by James Cameron, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton, amongst others, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. The movie is being slightly delayed from a July release date to a holiday time, November 22nd, 2019. This is not due to Arnold Schwarzenegger's recent heart surgery. Apparently, this is already in the works before Arnold went under the knife, and it's, we're all very happy to hear that he's doing okay. Does this delay give you hesitation about the movie? I actually think, because usually when you hear about a production delay, you start to think, what's wrong with this movie?
Right.
I think this is a better landing spot. What say you, Jon Schnepp?
I totally agree. I think it works better if they get an extra 4 months. That's not a lot of time, but it's an extra 4 months for finishing and sweetening the sound and doing special effects. I think that's really great. And, everything I've heard about what they're doing with Cameron and Miller, everything they're doing sounds perfect. So to me, 4 months is nothing.
I think 4 months is something in the sense of getting box office receipts, because I think that a November 22nd landing spot,
Yes.
there's going to be competition, but that competition is going to come from some huge animated movie or something that is not Terminator. So Terminator coming out around that time, I think is a lot smarter than releasing it in the dead heat of the summer, where we saw what happened with a movie like Star Trek Beyond, which got a lot of acclaim, but it just could not keep up with the week-to-week travels that you have as far as new movies coming out all the time in the summer. Do you like this release date better, Kristian?
I do, and I think, look, it's Cameron's producing it, so let's hope it just sticks to one delay, because that guy delays everything. Right. I mean, Avatar was supposed to come out 20 years ago. But Tim Miller directing this, working together with James Cameron, is something to me. If James Cameron left the project altogether and it was just Tim Miller, I'd be nervous about it. But not that I don't have trust in Tim Miller. I actually have a lot of trust in him. But I think I want James Cameron really involved in this story. I don't want him endorsing bullcrap versions of it anymore, because he endorsed Genesis, for God's sakes.
Right.
What a train wreck that movie was. And he now, working with Tim Miller, if they sat down and go, let's just push it. And plus the fact, it actually worked out for the best, because Arnold did, whether they pushed it or not, Arnold had this in him. Arnold's able to recover. They can hopefully work on, I don't want to see Arnold as like the lead Terminator, though. I want to see someone else. I want to see a new generation kind of finally come in. That's what we were hoping for, because we want this thing to launch off. There's so much story inside the Terminator world that you can branch off, but it's starting to become one of these kind of, what is it? Those stupid movies that you love, but I hate them. The zombie ones. Resident Evil.
Yeah.
It's like, don't turn Terminator into Resident Evil.
Don't be Resident Evil.
Why you gotta be ripping on Resident Evil?
Because it stinks.
But Resident Evil, every new movie of Resident Evil that comes out, they're still building on the mythology they already set up. This one is retconning everything.
Right. After 2.
And then you get to 2, and then it's like, this is a sequel. What is coming out in 2019 now around Thanksgiving is a sequel to Terminator 2,
Right.
which is a concept that I love regardless of Arnold's age or Linda Hamilton, because I think Linda Hamilton, first of all, it's going to be great to see her back, but the way that she interacts and what her role as Sarah Connor is more intriguing than what they do with Arnold. Do you think that it's going to be a situation where they try to do the de-aging with Arnold a little bit, and you have him play that same Terminator? Because we saw that Terminator thumbs up, and that's pretty much the end of his storyline. Could we see a Robert Patrick-esque Terminator come back as well, or do you want to see new versions of the robots for 2000? For the 21st century.
We know that the Terminator's age. We know that could be an older version.
We don't know
of
that
Arnold.
though now.
But
that's what I'm hoping to happen.
But we also know he's a model. He's like, he's the T-800 and that skin. That's what Arnold looks like. So there's hundreds of those running around in the post-apocalyptic future. So that's the easy way to bring him back. Or maybe he's they find a couple of them frozen, but they all aged and only one's alive. Who knows how they're going to bring him back? Or maybe he is that he's the army guy that they based him on.
Oh, but not with that accent.
I know.
Oh,
we don't
God.
want to have that.
Yeah. So for people who didn't know, in the cut scenes, I don't know, of the third movie,
Yes.
they showed
who he was modeled after, and you see him on the treadmill, Arnold, you're like, oh, that's kind of an interesting thing. And then he opens his mouth and he has this ridiculous accent. Like it's I mean,
and then they gave
I say ridiculous when it just doesn't fit him, but it's this over-the-top Southern accent that is more. It seemed like a spoof film.
But then they gave the other guy his voice. Remember, they gave the secret agent is like, they're thinking about doing. They swapped out voices,
Right, which is it was silly. But anyway, point is, I think that the thing I did like about Genesis, the part of the mythology, was they said that he was kind of sitting around for a while, and just this stuff ages. So if he aged, but the question is, like you said, he burnt. Do they send someone back? I like that idea of him getting sent back into the, what was it, when Sarah Connor was a kid?
Yeah.
I don't know, but they're going to retcon a lot of that stuff. There's ways to do it with the sci-fi stuff, and with Miller and Cameron working on it. I'm okay with a 4-month.
Yeah, and James Cameron has said that, Tim Miller's really taking the lead on this, that James Cameron, to use his own word, he said he was pretty agnostic coming back to this movie. All he really wanted was to make sure that you get to revamp it properly as far as the canon goes for the 21st century, and having it be a direct sequel to Terminator 2, I think makes all the sense in the world. So I'm excited about this movie, and I would not worry about this particular delay. A lot of times I do get concerned about movies, especially if it's called Terminator, and they say, oh, we got to delay it 4 months. I wouldn't worry about it in this particular instance. We are going to remind you at the end of the show, we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. So go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. This weekend, I'm going to be at Valparaiso University on Friday, and a special engagement at the Columbus Funny Bone Saturday night. We also have plenty of material for your viewing pleasure up here on this channel all this week, Collider Video. We already did our top 10 Spielberg movies of all time. We have one more video in the Spielberg vein, and that is, does Ready Player One deserve a spot in Spielberg's all-time top 10. Ran into some folks yesterday that are fans of the show, and all they wanted to talk about was the debate between the Spielberg top 10. They had some very strong opinions that clashed with what we had, and it was a fun debate. So please keep those going online and in person. We also have a new show we're going to be debuting this week with our reviews of Rampage and Truth or Dare. The show is called Now, Later, Never. It's going to debut this week, and it's going to be our new way to review movies here. Collider Movie Reviews. Now, Later, Never. Kristian, what's the thinking behind that?
Now Later Never is going to be more short form reviews, very quick, fast, and you'll be, again, shareable on whether it's Facebook, Twitter, and it's just going to be takes that you're going to hit about a minute a piece, and you're just going to get the quick take of it. We'll still be doing the spoiler reviews and the longer reviews and all that stuff, but this is just kind of the quick intake for you guys to watch when you're on the go. The other thing Mark had mentioned before, a lot of people were watching WrestleMania last night. Myself, John Roca, and Aaron Turner from the Schmodown Rundown back in the day, we are going to be reviewing all of everything we saw last night on WrestleMania, but that's exclusive to the podcast network, so you have to go to the Collider Factory feed, and that will go up a little later on today. But there it is, the Collider Factory feed. Go and subscribe to that, and you'll get that episode a little later.
All right. We also have a new Heroes going up later today, hosted by the sweatiest of the sweaties, Jon Schnepp. What kind of tasty nuggets can we look forward to?
Oh, yeah. We're not going to be talking about wrestling. We might talk about wrestling, but yeah, we're going to talk about Avengers. We're going to talk about Legion. A whole bunch of different things dropped this week, so that's what we're going to get sweaty about. And yeah, the podcast thing is cool. A lot of people were writing to me, is very happy that they've got a dedicated podcast, so check it out. Heroes is also available. You just got to subscribe to it. So.
Number 3 on TV and film and iTunes right
now.
On. Yeah.
Well, as we move on to our live Twitter questions, our Twitter poll that we kicked off the show with the Solo Star Wars story, what character are you most excited to see? It's a tough race, but Lando is still way out in front. Lando, 49% of the vote. Chewie is coming in strong in the second slot, 25%. Only 16% of people looking forward to see Han Solo the most, and a new character way down there at 8%. Lando, I think you could just base that off of people so excited to see Donald Glover playing him, but Chewbacca coming in pretty strong at 25%, and that's why we're going to kick off our Twitter questions today with a dog question from Bob Gray. He says, what is your favorite film starring or involving a dog? And yes, animated dogs can count, so your bolts are going to be acceptable.
I'm going to say Isle of Dogs. Right off the bat. Of all time right now.
You got a chance to check out Isle of Dogs this weekend.
I loved it, man. I think it's a fantastic movie, and Harvey Keitel steals the movie.
Yeah, I'm going classic, Lady and the Tramp.
Oh, that's a good one, too. Yeah, as far as dog movies go. Like the ending of dog movies, you get a little nervous sometimes. You know? I like me some All Dogs Go to Heaven. It was a good movie.
Old Yeller ends well.
Does not?
It really doesn't.
Yeah, you don't want to be watching.
I don't know.
all
that
I didn't
you
watch
saw
the end.
Very...
You
No, I
missed
didn't
the
see it.
ending?
Yeah, I didn't see the end.
You should see it again, Christian.
all right.
It's really good. It's
Good.
heartwarming.
Comedy?
Uplifting. Yeah, it makes you feel really warm
Okay,
inside.
I'll watch it.
No, you really shouldn't.
I'll
Marley
show
and
the
me.
kids.
Watch
No
the
one's
first
talking about-
hour, then fling that Blu-ray as far away from you.
What about Beethoven? Tom Hanks. You're not going to mention those
Tom
classics?
Hanks,
Yeah.
Charles Grodin.
Tom Hanks
Oh,
was
Charles-
in Turner and Hooch.
Oh, right. Thank you.
I don't like the way
Turner
that
and
movie
Hooch.
ended. I don't like the way Turner and Hooch ended.
No.
I mean, you
either.
know what? I'm going to stick with both.
See, I would say
I'm going with Bolt.
I would argue that Turner and Hooch ends even worse than Marley and Me. Spoiler: he gets shot.
Yeah, but they really, I mean, Marley and Me, they really drag out. God, they drag
Yeah.
out. Oh, my.
But he
And
dies
it's a
of
good
old age.
speech. Like, I want to give Owen Wilson the Oscar for that speech.
Bolt
but-
was fun.
Bolt was
I'm
fun,
going with
and-
Isle of Dogs, man. It's all dogs.
Yeah,
Don't
okay.
shoot the dog.
How about this? Speaking of sad movies, but not sad in the same way, Up. Because Up starts out very sad, but we're not worried about a dog. And then we get that classic dog, where he's like...
I can't believe it. Squirrel.
Yeah.
Frankenweenie. I'm gonna add Frankenweenie right
you call
next
me?
to Frankenweenie. I called him Frankenweenie.
Don't call me that.
What? Frankenweenie.
All right.
Say it
We're going
3
to move
times.
on to Evan Callister Ewan Callister says, what are your 3 favorite Disney songs? 3 favorite Disney songs. Just give me your favorite Disney song of all time.
All right, 3 favorite in this order: Egg Baby, Suck It or Lose It, and then I'm a Champion, Witch Bait.
I'm not sure those are actual Disney.
They're all look them up, man. Google that shit.
Okay.
I was just gonna
will.
go friend like me, but how do you beat that?
Yeah, I kind of like the Bare Necessities.
Ooh, I love that one.
Yeah, but it's hard to go against the Lion King. I mean, it makes me
Sniff
very
it,
emotional.
Dina.
I don't think that these are Disney. Are you guys?
We're not making this up.
The
This is
animated Disney
it's
fair?
totally real Disney
Are those
stuff.
in Maleficent?
Yeah, no, they are.
Where are those
Cut
songs
scene.
coming
Cut.
from?
Cut.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
delete
the
scene.
Cream Bagel.
Yeah.
That's a song from the 50s.
Don't tickle my toes with that.
I'm going to take a risk and do one more live Twitter question, trying to get us on the good train. Leaving the station, that comes from Alex Williams, and he says, what comedian would you like to see direct a horror movie or a movie outside their known strength like Jordan Peele
That's a
or
hard
John
one, though.
Krasinski, who comes from comedic acting?
It's a harder question only because if
Because you have to take it seriously.
Well, sure. But besides that, is that you have to I don't know their interest in it. Like I wouldn't have told you that Jordan Peele and Krasinski wouldn't have ever popped up if someone would have said that question 2-3 years ago, because I don't know what they like, what they don't like. Obviously, those guys are both big fans of that genre. And you know that Jordan Peele's been thinking of that type of story for a long time, and it's been in his head.
Right.
So I have no idea. I would just I'd be very curious because, as you know, comedians come from a very dark place.
Yeah.
And they can, again, we'll see what the hell happens with the next breakout star.
You know what? Jim Carrey, because you mentioned Dark Place, and he's recently been killing it with his paintings. I don't know if you go online and look at Jim Carrey's artwork. He's fantastic. I mean, he's really gone over. I remember seeing his art like about 10 or 15 years ago. I was like, he's just like a dumb rich guy playing with paint. And all of a sudden he turned, say he was like, I've got he's got his weird religion and people painting stuff for him. And I'm Andy Warhol, I'm a factory. And then all of a sudden something clicked. I don't know how many years ago, but
he's going Beautiful Mind style is what you're trying to
I
say.
love what he's doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, I would love to see him do a movie.
He's like Hunter S. Thompson at this point.
He is, which is a good thing.
Seeing a lot of good nominations here from y'all in the chat room right now. Kevin Hart is one. Kate McKinnon is another one. Dave Chappelle. I think that's a very interesting call.
Dave Chappelle.
I'm going to say Jim Jeffries. If you want to go from a dark place or something that's going to have some socio-political commentary along the way of Get Out, I don't think Carrot Top is going to be. But there'd be a lot of good practical effects.
I want to see
Box
Carrot
of
Top direct a
Madness.
mob film.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you can have your movie,
right.
and I will stick with
I
a
wanna see
Jim
that.
Jeffries directed horror movie. That's going to do it for us, mercifully, here on this Monday edition of Collider Movie Talk. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. For Kristian Harloff, Jon Schnepp, I am merely Mark Ellis, trying to hold things together. We'll see you tomorrow for a new episode of Movie Talk. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.